looking at Dubsado and Honeybook, the difference in features are not that far apart, but there are a few that could sway you one direction or another. Hi, I am Lauren with the Smarter Creative, and I am here to help creative small business owners run their business more effectively and more productively. And I'm so glad you are here. So I am a huge advocate for CRMs or customer relationship management tools, and have been playing around with a couple that are on the market that are best, they claim to be best for creatives, one being Honeybook and one being Dubsado, and both are lovely and have some interesting aspects to them. I am personally biased for one versus the other, and I'm going to share 3 things that make me like Dubsado better than Honeybook, and then at the very end, a complete 180 on why Honeybook could be even better for you. One of the things that Dubsado does much better than Honeybook is when it comes to lead generation from a calendar request. So on my website, I have this 30-minute free clarity call to see if we are a good fit to work together, if my services are what is going to elevate your business to the next level and we get along and we want to move forward. So on my page right here is embedded a Dubsado form, and it has my availability through their calendar and then a form to submit. Now, Honeybook only has this form embed that you can do, and you cannot automatically embed your calendar request. Now, there are workarounds to just about everything in the world, but this is something that Dubsado does very nicely. This is all in Dubsado. You can pick the time that you want to jump on a call with me, submit it, and then fill out your information, and Dubsado creates a lead then inside of Dubsado, and it will have that information. It puts it on my calendar. It blocks anybody else from taking that time slot, and I actually have it so that I cannot take more than 2 clarity calls in a day. So as soon as next Wednesday, when I have 2 clarity calls booked, I'm not going to be taking any more that day. Personally, I get tired and it's a lot. It takes a lot to jump on these calls and to talk with people. So great. So it limits it. Wonderful. And then that form, all that information is there. It goes into my lead, and it is all within Dubsado. I love it. Otherwise, in Honeybook, this form, you would have to have them fill it out, and then inside of a workflow in Honeybook, it would send a email to your lead with the ability for them to book a free call with you. And that is just more work on your client. You are asking them to fill out this form, which is already a big step on the website, and then they need to check their email, they need to open the email, they need to click on it, and then they need to find a time that works for both of you. And it is a lot of extra steps, and we are here to make working with you so much easier for your clients. You want it to be super simple and well thought out and catered to their experience, not to your experience. So Dubsado makes it really easy to build out client portals and make sure your client is only seeing what they want to see. Now, Honeybook does a good job as well, but they go about it a different way, and you actually invite people into the project. And that's totally fine if your client does not have a Honeybook linked to their email address. But if they have an email and they also use Honeybook to build their clients, so say you're a photographer and you are about to take some brand photos for a graphic designer, and they use Honeybook for their client relationship management too. Your job with the graphic designer will actually show up inside of their Honeybook dashboard. And I've even heard stories about people not knowing what that project was and archiving it. Like your client, Ken, has the ability to archive the project because they don't like, it's not, they're like, they look at it and like, what the heck is this? And then they just archive it, which is crazy to me that you cannot limit what the person has access to inside of it. Now, it's super rare. It would you both have to be actively using Honeybook. For anyone who just serves people who would never be using Honeybook for their business, it's not a big deal at all. But if you are, like, that can be a headache, and it's a big miss on Honeybook's part. I know they're trying to make it more collaborative, but you need to be able to put parameters around what the person who is the client is able to do inside of the project and not give them the ability to archive it. That's crazy. Another place where Dubsado excels above Honeybook is when it comes to workflows. Now, they both platforms have workflows available, and you can put your customer in a different workflow at the start of working together. Now, what Dubsado does that Honeybook does not do is Dubsado allows you to put them into a additional workflow when they finish the first one. So here is just a sample workflow. We can edit it and then add an action after, say, you send them the thank you for inquiring email, maybe a follow-up email so many days later, and then you can start a workflow maybe 2 days after the previous action's complete, and you can stick them into a new workflow, whatever that is. So what's really nice about that is you can think about your client journey in smaller chunks. I want them to do A, B, C, D, E, and then they might go into F, whatever, or they might actually need to jump and go into 1, 2, 3, and you can choose which workflow to put them in, and yeah, it is so much easier. And you can even like have a checkbox where you have to pick the workflow that they go into or edit it completely, because there's so many things that you can do inside of Dubsado. And Honeybook, you have one workflow for your project, and it cannot be moved into another workflow. Your client cannot get moved into another workflow within that project until they finish it. And that's a lot of steps. If you have a really in-depth workflow, that's a lot of things that you have to think about beforehand when you think about your client journey, about what all you want to do with them. And I mean, you could have 30 to 40 steps in there for them working with you, and that is just very overwhelming, and nobody wants overwhelming in this world, right? Like, we want things as simple as possible. And what really helped me wrap my head around why Dubsado's workflows make a lot of sense is when I think about my email marketing workflows. And within Flowdesk, it is what my current email marketing is from. I have workflows in there. So I have lead generators that are out there, some freebies that you can get, and those have a workflow based on that freebie. And then at the end of that workflow, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take them out of that and stick them into a welcome workflow where they get to hear a little bit about me and my business. And I want to make sure I take them out of the freebie workflow, because if they ever in the future want to get that freebie again, maybe they lost it, they forgot they got it, whatever, I need them to be able to go through that again. So I need to take them out of that. I'm going to put them in a welcome workflow that is the same for everybody. And it's one less, well, it's like 6 less steps for me whenever I build out a new workflow to like put all those emails in. workflow to workflow to workflow. We're just gonna move them along the journey. Makes so much more sense, not as overwhelming. You can build it out more slowly as needed. So workflows in Dubsado are so much better. All right, now I told you that I was gonna be biased with my choices on these CRMs for creatives. And so at this point, you know, like, Lauren, you are biased to Dubsado. And it's true. I really, really, really like the way that Dubsado does certain things, especially when it comes to processes, automations, making things really easy on your client. And Honeybook, it's easy for the client, but it's even easier for the business owner. So Honeybook's infrastructure behind the scenes of their website, it's much easier to navigate, to create things as a small business owner. Dubsado, it's very complicated. You have to be committed to figuring it out for yourself or hiring somebody. Now, Dubsado does a wonderful job when you just start with them of helping you build out some questionnaires. I think they even like automatically change it if you already have some with your established business. But building out those workflows and things, it can be a lot, and a lot of people end up hiring someone to build it out for them. And if you don't understand the why something's done a bit, it can be hard to navigate as a small business owner. So Honeybook is honestly a bit more intuitive for small business owners who are just looking for a way to get organized in a simple manner. Now, Dubsado is also simple. It just has a little bit more. You have to understand how Dubsado thinks. It is not intuitive, and it takes a little while to wrap your head around it. Or maybe it was just me. It took me a little while to wrap my head around it. And so Honeybook is, I think, much simpler to get started, to go off. You don't have to set up a third-party payment system. Like, it's all within Honeybook, and that is brilliant. But if you're ready to take a next step, to go to the next level and think about your client and what makes things even easier for your client, Dubsado is the way to go. And I am a huge advocate for not just thinking what is easier for you as the business owner. I want you to be thinking about what is easiest for your client, and then how can you make it easy as a business owner to make it easy for your client. So I hope those 3 things helped you, that Dubsado does, that Honeybook does not do, and a little bit eye-opening. If those are things that you really want inside of your CRM, then you don't want to go with Honeybook, you want to go with Dubsado. But if those are things that are just not a big deal, then either one is a wonderful choice. There are so many systems out there than just those 2. But just looking at Dubsado and Honeybook, the difference in features are not that far apart, but there are a few that could sway you one direction or another. If you need some more hands-on help to get your CRM system up and going, you should go ahead and book your 30-minute clarity call with me. I would love to see how the Smarter Creative can come alongside of you and your creative small business and get you organized and up and running and clear focused to get your time back. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button below. I would love to pop into your YouTube every week to give you tips and tricks to help you run your creative small business more effectively and to boost the operations of your business. My heart is for you to get your time back, for things to run smoother, so you can get back to focusing on what gets you excited inside of your business.